Have you ever watched a movie where you thought to yourself, why does this female character act this way? Or why does this female character just exist like that with no purpose at all in the movie? Have you read a book where the author describes the female character with tons of extreme details about the way she looks and the way her body looks, while the male protagonist gets just one line about how handsome he is or about his jawline? Well, you're not alone. This is what the feminist female theorist Laura Mulvey calls the male gaze, and that is our topic for today. Today we are going to break down the differences between the male gaze and female gaze and how they were created. So hello everyone and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel if this is the first time you see me. I'm Sarah and this is Ink and Equality, and today we are talking about male gaze versus female gaze. What are the differences between them and how were they created? Now, the male gaze was first coined by Laura Mulvey in her essay in 1975, which was called Visual Pleasure and Narrative Cinema. She argued in her essay that women in cinema are portrayed as object of desire, object for men to look at just from the heterosexual perspective of the male. In this way, the camera is moved as if it's the eye of a man or a male, which is lingering on parts of a woman's body, lips, arms, legs, dehumanizing the woman into parts to be looked at rather than a total, complete human being. Think, for example, of Megan Fox in Transformers, where she is bending over a hood in slow motion, or Marilyn Monroe in her movie The 7 Years Itch, where the camera is more interested in the details of her dress rather than her facial expressions and emotions. Even in classic literature, we can find examples like The Great Gatsby, where Daisy is observed through the eyes of Gatsby, an obsessive man that is interested in her details rather than in her completion as a person. But the male gaze is not something that is only tied to film and literature. It actually affects women in the real world. Something like self-objectification, which leads to a lot of anxiety and low self-esteem, can be one of the effects of the male gaze. It's when women want to look perfect in everyday situation and they feel stressed when they are unable to accomplish this. Well, we can blame the male gaze for that. Some social constructions like, why do you dress very well today? Do you have a date? Or why are you wearing that? Who's going to see it? Well, pretty much this is catering for the male gaze, as if a female cannot look a certain way or dress a certain way if it's not to serve a specific male in society. What about the female gaze? Now, what happens when we flip the script, when we look from the opposite perspective? The female gaze is about subjectivity, experience, and emotions. Instead of reducing women to objects to be adorned and looked at, female gaze looks into the complexity and the individuality of women. Take, for example, the portrayal of A Woman on Fire, a film directed by Celine Sciamma. In this film, the director didn't focus on how the camera is lingering on females' bodies and how it sees them, rather how the characters see each other, how they connect emotionally, how they express their emotions towards each other. Another example can be Fleabag by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. In this TV series, the protagonist always breaks the fourth wall and speaks directly to the audience to give them an intel about her emotion and her mental status, rather than just focusing on her beauty or on the way she looks. And it's not only in film. This shift can be also seen in literature, with writers like Elena Ferrante, my brilliant friend, where she focuses on the characters far away from the male gaze and the male lens and into more of depth exploration of the female psyche and interests. This goes beyond film and literature into pop culture as well. So we see see artists like Taylor Swift who reclaimed her own narrative, she reclaimed her own identity, and she changed the male gaze that has been forced upon her for years in the Eras Tour documentary, and she shows up as a real person. Taking a step back from mass media and celebrities to look at influencers and those with smaller follow, we can see lots of trends all over social media that promotes more to the female gaze, how to dress from the female gaze, or how to dress in a way that doesn't captivate the male interest, which are very interesting trends that shows that women all over the world are stepping away from the male gaze into a different era, into a female gaze era. Now, how do they compare? From the male gaze, women are passive aesthetic objects that is nice to look at, but from the female gaze, women are more of agents in their own stories. Think about Marilyn Monroe in Blonde versus the real Marlene. One of them caters to the pain that she endures but focuses on a male view of pain and her beauty at general. But if you look at the other, you see some diary entries and interviews focusing on how she was an agent in her own life, in her own decisions, and how she took control of the way she looks. Another example can be the huge shift that occurred in Disney when they portrayed, for example, Cinderella in 1950s in comparison with Encanto in 2021. Cinderella is a beautiful woman who's waiting for Prince Charming to save her from her bad reality. On the other hand, we have Maribel, who is not portrayed as a beautiful woman or someone who is weak and in need of a savior, rather was focusing on family relations and how Maribel took control and took agency and helped her own self and her family to safety. In this case, one promotes romance as the agent of happiness and the other promotes identity and self-worth as the path for happiness. Now, does this really matters? Actually, it does. Because the way we see women in media, the way women are portrayed in media, is exactly the way women are seen in reality and how women are valued in reality. And at the same time, it's how women see themselves and how women interact with their own identity. Literature, film, media, and social media are slowly changing. But still, we have to keep asking ourselves, who's holding the camera, what are they showing, and who is being looked at, and how? So tell me, what are some of the female gaze characters that you've seen and you've loved? Let's start a conversation in the comments and let's see what are your choices. If you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave me a comment. And if you are interested in some deep dive into feminist theory and feminism in general, don't forget to watch my next video. See you next time. Bye!